the farm, let me ask you a question, Mother, about the Monier Farm on Monier Road in Gibsonia, Pennsylvania, near Bairdford, really. Uncle Harry, your older brother, says his first memory was sitting with his grandfather on the grain house steps, and he was just 2 years old. So what's your first memory of the farm, and what was it like?
You know, I don't remember much about it. I had to be a lot older than 2 before I got involved in it. But then I learned how to dig in the garden and how to play. We had a baseball bat my dad had made for us, which we could have killed an alligator with, but couldn't hit a ball. And but he also made us whistles from, I think, willow trees, and a lot of things that were nice because they were homemade, especially, including a kite.
Kite winder he made, and I still have that kite winder. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, go ahead.
Ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
He made a kite winder, which my brothers and I could argue over, and he also taught me how to make my own kite. And so the dining room table was usually during the spring covered with kite paper and sticks to hold them in shape and all that sort of thing. And we could really, really fly them. Dad had no end to the string that was on the winder.
What did he grow?
At the farm?
Yeah.
Well, all kinds of things that farmers grew, like corn and potatoes and wheat and oats and strawberries, which was a better growth as far as I was concerned, and apples, all season apples.
Did he have a lot of apple trees?
Yes, he had an orchard.
What animals?
2 horses and about 3 cows and a dog.
They once had the carriage horse. Did you know the carriage horse? And
that was before my time.
Did you ride the sleigh ever?
Maybe once we rode the sleigh, and I loved that sleigh. And when we sold the farm, I saw that it was taken down to Merritt's parents, and we sat there and let it rot.
Well, the Model T then came along, and I wish I had it right in front of me. But you had a little stool to sit in the Model T, and we still have that. We actually have that. Tell us about riding a Model T.
Well, Model T was my first car. And in the front was my father and my mother. In the back seat was my brother and my grandmother. And there evidently wasn't enough room for me because they got a little seat, was a little folding seat covered with carpeting. And that's what I got to sit on the floor.
Okay, the next video we're putting that in. And then there was Ted and Dan, the horses, when George and I showed up, and 2 cows.
Well, I'd like to ask about how you met Dad.
I met Dad.
Twin Willows.
Yeah. Oh yes, the group that I ran around with as a teenager was skating crazy, and we would go skating once a week. But our problem was all we had to go in was an old Lincoln, I think.
Packard, maybe. Dad said it was a Packard. You said it was a Studebaker once. Keep going. This is for us.
And so we just caught it as many as people we could in that. And then we had one boy that had a Model A Ford. And that was, we really needed more transportation. And when they began playing ball with this man across the stream, they saw that he had a car sitting there that he wasn't using. And they thought, good, here's a good transportation for us. But they learned that the car wasn't running yet. But he was allowed to drive his father's car. And so that's how we got skating. And they had chosen me because I was the only one close to his age. And so then they would walk up. How far do you suppose it was from the acres to the farm?
It must be 2 and 3 miles, 4.
And they would walk up there when they couldn't ride. And finally he got his car on the road, and we traveled together. And he had a good sense of humor, and so I enjoyed being with him.
Well, I like the part when your first date in Sam's Hudson, that he knew the tune and you knew the words, so he could sing the song. Tell us about that.
I don't remember what that song was. What was it?
Well, I don't know what you were singing in '39. I thought it was As Time Goes By, but that wasn't out yet.
No, it wasn't that. It was, I don't know, it seemed to me it was Waterloo or something. I'll tell you what, I'll look at my list and see what it was.
Let's go back to the farm. You were talking about what you used to eat there, and you had a big ham underneath a box. What was that all about?
Well, my dad raised the meat. He had hogs that he raised, and we got hams from them. But everything else he sold.
Would he smoke the ham, or how would you be able to keep it like that?
Well, he did smoke it, and he had put it in, I think, a barrel of salt water. Though I really don't know, but something first. Then he smoked it. And then he put it under the sink in the pantry, and every meal, not one meal or two, every meal we had sliced ham.
Now, how did you and Dad decide to come to Florida?
Well, you know, men go through a time when they aren't happy with what their life is, and he had lost his job. He had been working at a Hudson garage, and so his parents had been to Florida, and he thought it would be a good move. And it turned out okay.
So you stayed at Sam's cabin?
Well, no, the first time we went for 2 weeks because he had had surgery and couldn't get his temperature up where they would accept him back at the repair. I guess he was working for the government then, and
What year was that,
I don't know.
roughly? Was it before the war?
It was for the war.
For the war.
So
So you came down for 2 weeks the first time, and then where did you stay when you were down here? Where did you stay when you were down here?
yeah, we stayed at his parents' house.
That was the cabin,
The cabin.
off 38th?
Yes.
We have pictures of that too, of the cars down here.
So,
And then,
so you just stayed for 2 weeks, and then you went back up for how long?
Right. Well, I went back up to be with my father because he was living on a farm alone.
And then how much longer before you moved down?
Oh, several years. I don't know how many.
Really? I didn't know it was that long.
Yes,
It was back and forth for a while. We went up summers, and Dad helped Sam with the flowers.
So when
It
you
was a couple of years.
A couple of years, maybe a few years. And then when you first moved down, really moved down, where did you stay?
Well, Mother and Dad had built this cabin, and we were able to stay there.
So how long did you stay at the cabin before you moved to 66th Street?
Well, the whole time that we were there, because they were still building 66th Street. Sam and Merritt were building the house on 66th Street. Did a good job too.
So you stayed at Sam's cabin and then
Right.
built on 66th Street. And that's the only property you guys had at the time?
Yeah, 7 acres. What more do you want?